KBLA delegation, we need your help as we launch our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We would deeply appreciate you going to our KBLA 1580 website and filling out a short climate justice survey, which will help us better serve our beloved community as we build out this campaign. It'll take you just a few short minutes to complete the online survey, and the information you provide us will be invaluable as we do our part to hold folk accountable and amplify the voices of our people in this climate conversation. When you take the survey, you'll be automatically entered to win seats at our annual Black History Month luncheon Thursday, February 29th. So, hit our website at KBLA 1580. Help us out by taking the short climate justice campaign survey, and you could be our guest at our annual Black History Month luncheon Thursday, February 29th. Thank you in advance for your consideration and cooperation. At KBLA Talk 1580, we care about the community, we care about the climate. We care about the climate.
Well, Prince, what are you throwing?
There's a gentle modern breeze that blows whenever we be lying in my bed. The moon appears and disappears. You look at me, my clothes I quickly shed. The curtains dance a minuet, autumn plays and music, baby. Come on, hold my hand. Leaves are falling for the splash. Only you and I can wonder. Only you can understand. The sunlight draws a picture through the silky lace that hangs above your door. A picture that is waving that it seems to be with every breast you make me beg for more. Oh, a robin sings a masterpiece that lives and dies unheard. For streams of passion.
Welcome back into hour 3 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Shout out to Andy for getting the family in. Screams of passion. That is my joint. Listen, Prince in the 80s, the revolution, things surrounding that was a moment. A real moment. And, you know, I was thinking about when I was listening to the words, you kind of had to have an expansive vocabulary. They said the curtains were dancing to a minuet. I only know what that is because I was in orchestra as a kid and I took ballet. You know, when you think about stuff like that, like they were giving us poetry with their words. I appreciate it.
Only in the 80s, they don't make songs like that anymore. People don't even know vocabulary and what these things are.
Facts. So shout out to T.O. Moss checking in. Listen, you guys need to talk about that era on the show. I would love to hear your perspective about the Minnesota. Go ahead. It's Teal. Oh, you're literally okay. Look, I missed the prompt. He just tossed it to me, and I missed the prompt. My bad, Teal. And now, because I just played around with it, now I just lost the. And this is my fellow KBLA constituent show, and I dropped it. Lyric Lounge every weekend on KBLA Talk 1580, where they give you the backstory, the inside. They look inside not only songs, but eras of music and things like that. It's an amazing show. The hosts are all knowledgeable. It's 3. Teal is 1/3 of the trio. And, you know, you guys should really check out the Tasha and Euro. Right. Thank you. Shout out to Andy because, listen, it's late. He's throwing me all the lobs and I'm catching him. He said, what show? And I'm like, what do you mean, what show? Say the name, Jill. Say the name. Y'all make sure you talk into the Lyric Lounge. Thank you, Teal, for checking in. I love hearing his music opinions. He has some great ones. So, you know, but again, the Minnesota era, Purple. I feel like, too, you know, I slide Janet a little bit into that family.
Of course.
Okay, so
the whole first CD.
Just so that we're on the same. Not the third CD, but the first popular one.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Listen, I am not going to discount Young Love or Dream Street,
I'm not gonna discount them either.
but ain't nobody checking for those.
Only the real fans.
Okay.
The hardcore fans in Sherland.
I feel you. Andy?
When we talk a lot about hip hop, we always talk about regions and stuff like that, right? West Coast hip hop, down south, East Coast. When it comes to R&B, it's you kind of said it, right? And it got me thinking. When it comes to R&B, is it all about the Midwest? Considering
That's a
Motown,
great question.
Minnesota.
You think about like Cleveland had a lot of great artists to come out of there. I think for a certain time period, a little bit, low key. I think that it is that connection not only to the soul and the roots of it. You think about the blues and things of that nature and that sort of mix. I think that, I probably would have to go back and look at some things. Now, listen.
Let's not forget Solar Records.
I was about to say there's some West Coast things in there that have their thing.
And
we were just talking about the Whispers the other day.
That record label, the Whispers, the Silvers, Midnight Star, Lakeside, Climax, The Deal, Babyface, Callaway.
And later, we know that Solar eventually gave us birth to the first Death Row soundtrack for what was the movie? Because it's 187 on Deep Cover.
Yes.
Deep Cover.
Lawrence
That's it.
Fishburne.
Yes. Shout out to T.O. Moss for saying Dayton, Ohio funk. There you go. Forensic Accountant says, speaking of 80s R&B, this has started many fights, but I maintain that Alexander O'Neal's Hearsay is the best solo album, R&B album of the 80s from front to back, zero filler. I'm going to reserve my right to say no to that. I haven't listened to it in a long time. I know it has some bops because I like Alexander O'Neal, but the best. Sounds of Los Angeles Records. Yes, Solar Records. I mean, come on, man. Shout out to, I don't want to mispronounce that. Kamanzi's mom. I might be mispronouncing it. Please. Kamenese. Thank you. Kamene's mom. Yes. Thank y'all for joining in the chat and keeping up.
The best solo album of the 80s?
I don't know about that.
So we're going to
male
discount
R&B. We're discounting a lot. We're discounting Bobby Brown. I was about to say we're discounting Bobby Brown.
On the strength of Bobby Brown. Keith Sweat?
Man, there's a right and a wrong way to love somebody. I'm going to put Michael Jackson in pop, even though he's not like, there's some songs, but I'm going to put Michael Jackson and Prince out of that conversation.
Yeah, we're talking about straight R&B.
Yeah.
Bobby Brown, Keith Sweat.
There's more that we're probably forgetting.
Yeah,
Who was
but
I listening quite?
Alexander O'Neal, that is a very strong. If we're talking
That's
about
a choice.
No, it's a very strong, solid choice. If we're talking about pre-New Jack Swing.
Okay, well, what? 82, Sexual Healing, Marvin Gaye.
Okay, Luther Vandross, 1981, Never Too Much.
Look, so I don't know.
How you want to do it?
Listen, we can go back. Alexander, and we're forgetting of the OG 80s balladeer, Freddie Jackson.
Oh, nuh-uh.
Who?
Teddy Pendergrass, Jeffrey Osborne. Let's pull them all up.
Are they 80s or late 70s?
They roll into the 80s too.
Okay. It's like Kamani Marley. Okay. Shout out to you. I appreciate you for locking in. Kamani's mom. Got it. I appreciate you. T.O. Ma says every song on Hearsay got airplay.
Yeah, and see, and that's I will go with that on this simply because that was that real 80s R&B, and then right after that it started to change. It all went New Jack Swing. So I will give Forensic Accountant that because New Jack Swing was kind of in a class of its own, and it kind of shattered everything else that came before and after it.
Shout out to Guy. That first Keith Sweat album.
Oh,
there was no filler in that. I rocked that top to bottom. Let's not play with that. Really quick before we come forward, let me read these comments from the last hour. Urban Spinster.
Oh yes.
Forensic Accountant and his story that you wanted me to relay. True story. In 1979, I appeared on a daytime television show in response to General Mills' assertion that Cocoa Puffs were more nutritional than an apple. They actually put it on the box. Brother Alfonso said Snoop is advertising everybody else's product nationally. I know he was heavy on Instagram with the product advertisements, and then they just kind of went away. That's the thing, though. You got to keep hitting it. That machine is insatiable. And you got to keep reminding them, keep hitting them in the head because there's so much there. Urban Spinster also says, how does one get their product at the front of the store with big labeling? Has anyone tried Ghetto Gastro? I've seen it at Target. I've heard of their cookbook. I think those are deals that you make. There are also, I'm assuming it's the same with food like it is with retail and other things, that you negotiate shops or you negotiate your shelf space and you pay for it as sort of a marketing budget thing in some places. That's where you get your displays from. That's how you get your better shelf space as far as products and packaging. So I would assume it works something similar to that. And Brother Alfonso says, with all of Snoop's jobs as a pitch man, why can't he leverage some of his advertisement time for his cereal? Good point. And also, here's the thing, though. What I always say is that considering that you have a reach of millions and millions of people on your social media, that's your own advertising thing with no money. You could do you have a whole studio that you own right here in Inglewood, Snoop. You could do a cute little skit and promote it. I know you started off doing that, but the thing is, you got to kind of keep that effort up. So that is what I have to say on that. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. We're going to get into more of these comments. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. The YouTube chat is going crazy with the song list and the comparisons. I appreciate you guys shouting you guys out. Forensic Accountant does not agree with the total track listing for Keith Sweat's first album, that was a banger start to finish. I implore you, sir, listen to it again. In 1988 or 87, whatever, when it dropped, I assure you, front to back, that tape was getting worn out. Andy?
You know, when you decide what's hot, you know, an album with no skips, what are you basing it on?
What, as far as no skips?
I mean, just, what makes this particular album, the hottest album, in the
song.
80s?
I mean, that's
like
a good question.
What part
You're
of the
asking
song, in general, anybody, you, Forensic Accountant, anybody on the chat, what about that album, makes it fire? Is it the instrumentation? Is it, the sequencing? You know what I mean?
It's all of that, and I think for the times it was really the sound because, in the early 80s, everything was uniformed. It all sounded the same. And then it started to change up in the, the mid 80s. But for me, let's go back to this Keith Sweat and this Alexander O'Neal real quick, because I've compared the track lists.
Okay.
And come on. That first half of that Alexander O'Neal Hearsay album is boring. Okay? The second half of it is what's banging. Like, the first half of that CD is, we could skip it.
So what makes it boring?
They just weren't hits. They just didn't take for you.
It's not. It wasn't hits. It was just. And here's the thing about the 80s.
Well,
There were lots of interludes in the 80s.
I like interludes.
So I didn't like the interludes in between each song on that CD. Like, there was an interlude for each one, an intro for each song. Keith Sweat, it was just a different sound. It was something that we never heard before, and it came straight banging. Like, as soon as you put it on, it was like, wait a minute, what is this?
It really was. He was going up there.
For the Alexander O'Neal, it was Jimmy and Terry have a certain sound, and it's not a bad sound. It's a sound that it's more like a storybook, right? Keith Sweat came and got the party started. It wasn't a story. It was like, let's get this party started. Let's get it popping. Let's go. Boom. There it is. And it was nonstop dancing.
I feel that. And even on the slow moments.
Yeah.
Because that's when we still had slow dances and people, did that. So I feel you on that. Forensic Accountant is talking about vocally that you can't compare, and that's fair.
That's a fact. Alexander O'Neal sings down. But Keith Sweat wouldn't come. He was coming to get the party started.
I agree with that.
And you can do both.
Yeah.
You can do both. But and Alex
Yep.
And Alex had both. Okay. He had some party songs and he can sing down too, but I'm sorry, Keith Sweat won this one.
Listen, and I know we're not talking about this album, but Innocent to this day is still my jam. I know it's an inappropriate song currently, and this isn't why I know that the people that are always having these conversations and topics don't really pay attention to stuff. That song, and Keith Sweat's right in the wrong way, it's come up, Do Me Baby, but that song in particular says what it was. Say how men moved at that point in time, and say what the thought process was as far as like jailbait, kind of underage, looking at girls. That song is never brought up. You know why? Because all these people talking about that stuff are superficial and haven't really looked in the topic. There's a bunch of songs like that they have never tapped into to understand that, again, not an excuse, but an acknowledgement that it
spoke
was
of the times.
a different time. And I think the idea that people are like, oh, well, people didn't know that this was happening or they didn't understand this. No, you don't understand what the culture and environment was at that time.
And oftentimes they signed up for it.
Right.
Because they knew what it was.
Right. So not saying it's okay, but saying that not all of those situations at the time were about someone necessarily being taken advantage of. But again, that's a topic for another day. Shout out to Kamani's mom in Manteca, California. That is the Central Valley, we appreciate you tapping in. Urban Spinster says 80s started a lot of synthesized music, sax, electronic drums, and more technology. The lyrics were still well thought out. And I agree with that. It definitely was the era of the synthesizer. We saw like the keyboards that they were carrying around. Sampling was starting to come into play. There was new music. Computers were becoming more involved in music, so there was new ways to put together music. So I think that is an excellent point. Forensic accountant compared Keith Sweat to Steve Arrington Jr. I'm not mad at that. Weak at the Knees was a song, was a moment.
I was about to say it was a moment.
It was a moment. Along with Cameo, Shake Your Pants. I saw somebody brought up Cameo in there. That was a moment in a certain time period. Urban Spencer says every high school prom's theme was Make It Last Forever in the late 80s. Listen, I did not graduate in the late 80s, but I did go to a home. I did not graduate in the late 80s. I did not graduate from high school in the 80s. I didn't.
I didn't say anything. I was just looking around.
We're not going to play that. I'm not going to let you play in my face right here.
Always try to think I'm trying to make people old. I'm not trying
I'm not
going to
let you
anybody.
play in my face. At any rate, our homecoming dance at Dorsey High School was Make It Last Forever.
What year was that?
I'm trying to think. 87.
Yeah, all right.
But I was not a senior.
I
wasn't a
didn't say
junior.
Word.
I wasn't a sophomore. So, it's what it is. Tioma says Make It Last Forever was another that got love on radio. Make It Last Forever featuring Jackie McGee. Shout out to that skeezer. I wondered, Jackie McGee sang a song called Skeezer that came out later.
Oh.
And it was hot. She's
a skeezer.
No, she
Tell us that story.
She sang on Make It Last Forever with Keith, and then she had a solo project out, and the single was called Skeezer. I don't think it did much, but it was kind of impactful. I just cracked myself in the eye. So anyway, Don't Stop Your Love. I want her.
Oh my God, I
Something
love
just
that song.
ain't right in the wrong way, In the Rain. Come on, that entire album.
You have to give it to Keith Sweat.
Was a bop.
Now, if we're talking about vocals, we already know who wins that. But
Facts.
Listen, Teddy Riley did that.
Facts.
And didn't get paid for it either.
Listen, Tony Billardello, I might be jacking it up because I stabbed myself in the eye, y'all.
Oh my God.
Not literally with my nail. When people started lying about Keith Sweat having a good singing voice was the moment the world started going to heck. Whoever said Keith Sweat had a good singing voice? I don't recall that being said.
I don't think anybody ever said that at all. I think people just presume that because you have a record on the radio and we like it and it sounds good that you are a good singer. It's the same thing with Mary J. Blige.
Forensic account says she's just 16 years old. Leave her alone. What song is that? Into the Night. Lyrically, how did that make it to the radio? Because it was a different time. What did we say? The whole idea, shout out to you, the whole idea that the youth, especially women, were desirable for, older men, that they wanted each other. It was a thing.
It was totally
Think about it. Hugh Hefner. Now, again, we know what came of that and what some women said. Some women said other things.
I have to finish watching that story on what was the network?
The documentary
on A&E, the A-part series.
Good. Yeah, it was really good.
I was just concerned about that little girl, the friend,
the friend,
the doctor's friend that lived in the house. She saw too much, baby.
She really did at a young age.
I feel for her.
So listen, speaking of seeing too much, right? DeSean Jackson, he's a former NFL star. He played for the Philadelphia Eagles, a couple of other teams. He's from Long Beach, California.
I get him and Keyshawn Jackson mixed up all the time.
Keyshawn Johnson.
I get them mixed up all the time. The one that had the restaurant on Robertson.
Right,
Rain. Yeah.
Yep, and Keyshawn is also from L.A., went to Palisades and Dorsey, graduated from USC. But there is about 12 years of difference, age difference.
Yeah, he was from my era, the other one.
So shout out to him. But according to a filing, this was from the Blast, he and his ex-girlfriend, her name is Kayla, they broke up in 2020. And he was living in Florida at the time. He moved back to LA because I think he might have ended his career with the with Tampa Bay. I can't remember where the last team DeSean played for. I can't remember, but they were living in Florida, probably Miami. So they have 2 children. So in February 2023, he moved what? What's going on? I'm missing it. Okay.
Oh my God, that is such a good comment. I can't.
In February 2023, DeSean says that he went to Florida to bring his children back to California for a visit, right? Being a good dad. He said that when it was time for the visit to end, he called her, Kayla Phillips is her name, to make arrangements to return the children. And he said that she pushed the return date back to later. He said that was fine. So when the date came, he said he gave her a call again, and she asked for yet another date. But then after that, he says that he lost contact with her, and she stopped calling to check on the kids about their return. So he said that he enrolled them in school and that they have been here in Los Angeles ever since living with him. He said that his ex has only seen the boys twice in 2023 since coming to live with him, and she does not make herself available to them. It doesn't stop there, though, right? DeSean says that the reason for all of this behavior is because she is dating a man with cult-like behavior, and she has become a member of a religious group called the Most High. And she posts what he says are erratic Facebook posts, and they've said things like the members of the Most High are woke and everybody else is not. This is sounding like what's happening when Rerun joined the cult and they were praying to a head of lettuce.
You know what this sounds like?
What?
This sounds like the Rakadashi.
Oh, wow. Okay, I forgot about that.
That's who this sounds like. Because they call that man the highest, or the Most High.
The Most High?
Yeah.
He said that she appears to be brainwashed by the doctrine of the Most High, and that she is living a carefree life that does not include the children. I don't know if her social media is still up. I remember when they broke up and she started speaking more about religion and God and her place and making some changes. She was an Instagram popular girl. She was someone that, I think maybe Tumblr, Instagram started out, got popular and so forth. But then things changed. And so now here we are. So he said since the Most High is a cult, they have filed the request for child abduction prevention orders as well. He does want to allow her to have visitation in case she decides that she wants to come back and be a parent again, but he is asking for supervised visitation. So, what are your thoughts?
That has got to be horrible for those kids, just to have your mom just disappear and just leave you somewhere, even though you're with your dad. Parents, you have both parents in your life. You want them in your life. That's really devastating for the kids.
It is. And I shout out to him for saying he wants to keep it open for her to be able to visit as well and set that up and make sure that she's still,
Well, I think
totally
that's
cruel.
what any reasonable parent would want.
For
their children.
Sometimes people get vindictive, especially in things like this. So I
for
appreciate that he's not. Listen, when we come forward, we'll have more on this story and more trending topics and headlines and more comments from the chat. Because you guys are lighting it up in there.
Tony.
All of that and more on the other side. You're locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin will face a grilling on Capitol Hill over his secretive hospitalization. He's scheduled to testify before the House Armed Services Committee on February 29th. Austin, who is black, has faced sharp criticism as his unannounced hospitalization last month was not disclosed to President Biden or other senior administration officials for several days, prompting some to call for his resignation. The secretary last week publicly acknowledged he handled the situation poorly and apologized. In his annual State of the City address, Birmingham Mayor Randall Woodfin called on members of the Alabama legislature to amend a state law that would allow funding for the financially ailing Birmingham Southern College. Woodfin, who is black, said changing one word in the law from may to shall would clear the way for the private institution to receive a $30 million loan approved by lawmakers in 2023, but later rejected by State Treasurer Young Boozer. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
We all agree that America has a very serious problem.
Okay, KBLA delegation, we need your help as we launch our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We would deeply appreciate you going to our KBLA 1580 website and filling out a short climate justice survey, which will help us better serve our beloved community as we build out this campaign. It'll take you just a few short minutes to complete the online survey, and the information you provide us will be invaluable as we do our part to hold folk accountable and amplify the voices of our people in this climate conversation. When you take the survey, you'll be automatically entered to win seats at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 29th. So, hit our website at KBLA 1580. Help us out by taking the short climate justice campaign survey, and you could be our guest at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 29th. Thank you in advance for your consideration and cooperation. At KBLA Talk 1580, we care about the community, we care about the climate. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580, where climate is king.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Some people just know the best places to eat around town. Those are the people who know to choose Allstate. They know exactly where to go to get exactly what you're wanting. They know where to find the spiciest hot pot, the gooeyest brownies, and the tenderest, most flavorful portobello steak. Those people also know that safe drivers save 40% with Allstate.
Saving 40% is based on the national average premium savings for Allstate auto customers with a clean driving record versus those without. Savings vary by state and vary based on how you buy, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, as the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black history. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Is the family's version, the original. But, you can never go wrong with Prince, and Sinead did her thing, so shout out to them. Let's get to some of these comments, because they are a lot. Brother Alfonso says, it's not always about a good singing voice. Sometimes it's the vocal vibe. Facts on facts on facts. Tony Billadero says, Keith Sweat and Crack both came on the scene at the same time, which I don't think was a coincidence. Both were bull, and both were bad for you. Keith Sweat was not bad for you. And I rebuke that because we were going up to that. And we saw that at his Versus a couple years ago. And I certainly saw it in live action last year at the Legacy Tour with New Edition Guy.
What I appreciate about him is that he is very well preserved. And at 65 years old, he can still get it.
Right.
Better than half of these people out here on stage today.
And he's about to retire, though, right? He said he's...
Yes, this is his last tour, and I have to go see it.
So
third row.
Shout out to Keith Sweat. Forensic Accountant says, I can't ignore Alex. We're talking about Alexander O'Neal here. Little coke habit either, to be fair. Alexander O'Neal definitely took his career in a different direction.
It fell right into the toilet, and it's horrible. I was mortified, but I'm also very glad for Sherelle. When they did the BET Awards a couple years ago, and she came out and held that man up the way she did, I was like, all right, that's a partner right there.
Shout out to Sherelle. I didn't mean to turn you on. You look good to me.
I love Sherelle. I saw her.
Pebbles. I know they were. Listen.
Well, cousins, but
I know, but
I saw Sherelle last summer with Angela Wimbush and a couple other people. Good time.
I bet it was.
Good time.
Give us that good 80s vibe with a little bit of skiing and a heavy bass line and some synthesizers. Let's go. Let's see, what else do we have here? Because, again, you guys are funny. Forensic Accountant says, and my all-time favorite Marvin Pentez Gay was probably the original R&B crackhead. It pains me to say that I Want You remains my absolute favorite song ever. I don't know why that pains you. That is an amazing song. Granted, he was dealing with a lot of stuff when he put that down, but listen, I mean, there's a reason why people would ignore artists' habits for their music.
That's a good song. I think I might need to play that on the way home tonight.
Man,
I think that song will last my entire drive home perfectly.
Brother Alfonso says, I know Keith Sweat's voice sounds like it's got several cracks in it, but I don't think there are any parallels to the crack epidemic. Forensic Accountant added, Freebase is the reason why there is such a disparity between what you hear on the Midnight Love album and the live Marvin Gaye trash from him you hear from the subsequent tour. I feel that Teal Moss once said playing the original. Teal gonna tap in and keep it honest with us. We like that. And listen, Forensic Accountant says Paul sang it better, a cappella. The family's version was just Paul and Eric leads. Teal Moss says, glad Prince removed the drums for the family. The thing that I do appreciate whenever we're talking about a Prince thing or something related to that is that you are going to get a musical odyssey. And they're mentioning with the drums, or sometimes, just a piano or things of that nature, it's going to change up so much of the song. And I appreciate how we can keep getting different versions of it. So shout out to you guys going in the chat. We appreciate it. So speaking of questionable behavior from our former artists, your girl Brittany, we know she has been doing her thing on social media since she was freed of her conservatorship. Well, by the way, her page is now private because I guess she doesn't want you guys coming in and making all those inappropriate comments.
I thought she turned the comments off.
Maybe she turned it back on. I don't know. She made it private.
I wonder if she'll let me follow her.
I'm sure she will.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she will
follow.
too.
So
Anita Baker blocked me.
She posted today on social media a photo from back in the day, right? And it was a picture of her, Diane Warren, and Ben Affleck, who's currently married to Jennifer Lopez, right? And she basically revealed that at some point in time, her and Ben had, a little makeout session. They were hanging out in like 99. So she posted, it's Thursday, so I guess this was her Throwback Thursday picture, right? And so she posted it with the caption, "Cool pic of me and Ben and Diane Warren years ago. He's such an amazing actor. Did I fail to mention I made out with Ben that night? I honestly forgot. Dang, that's crazy. Wish I could tell you guys the story that happened before that. Oh dear, I'm just being a gossip girl." Now, Brittany, you know that man is married to Jennifer Lopez. You know she teed it up for the tea. Come on, Britt. Come on. I'm dirty dancing in my, like, Britney Spears.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what my thought was.
Right.
Because just keep dancing, girl, in your skirts.
So remember, Jen and Ben met on the set of Gigli. What was it? Gigli?
Yeah, I thought it was called Gigi. That movie that flopped.
It's Gigli. Yeah. Gigli or whatever.
That flop movie.
Yeah. But that was in 2002. Well, no, 2002 is when they got engaged. But they met somewhere, not too long before that. But they back together and married. And Britt.
Are they really married?
Yes, they're really married.
They like each other still.
They're married. Listen, when we come forward, we're going to have more trending topics and headlines. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I started vaping my freshman year of high school, mostly because all my friends had vapes. I wanted to fit in with them and look cool and be a part of everything that they were doing. The hardest part about quitting for me was all my friends still hitting their vapes right next to me. It was really frustrating and confusing when I was trying to quit because in my head I knew I didn't want to do it anymore, but for some reason my brain still wanted it.
No quit story is the same. For free support, text Kick Nicotine to 66819 today.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Thea Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond. through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Brittany's a wild girl, man.
A Sagittarius.
We've been talking about a lot of Sagittarius hitting hard, and that is
They're always starting trouble.
Monique's a Sag, Tiffany Haddish is a Sag,
Shannon
Brittany
Thompson
is a Sag, Shannon in the chat, she's a Sag, Jay-Z is a Sag, Richard Pryor, Tyra Banks. I could go on and on.
Sounds like a lot of
chaos.
Yeah, kinda. A lot of fire.
A lot of fire.
Let it burn.
I think that you should. Well, I'm glad you said that, because really quick, I want to again bring up Usher's marketing campaign, which I think is impeccable.
You know what?
Right now, they are doing something like "Where's Usher?" It's a video skit. So first, Usher posted on his Instagram, "Been working so hard. I think I want to get out and party tonight." Then there's a video with Ludacris, Taraji P. Henson, and one other person who I'm blanking on. And they're basically like, they have to call someone and let them know that they've lost Usher. So it feels, Little John is the other person. Because
what?
And here's my thing. One, I feel like that's a clue about Sunday. We're definitely going to get some lovers and friends.
Yeah.
Two.
Yeah.
Well, we knew we were getting Do you think Yeah is the white people's anthem? Is that one song by Usher that all white people like? Because I saw that trending on Twitter, and that's what a white guy said, because they were asking what their favorite songs were, and he was like, well, you know what I'm going to say, and I'm white. And it was pretty hilarious. So they said that Yeah is universally the white people's song for Usher that they automatically go up to. I kind of think that's right. I kind of think that might be right. Trent's like, nah, I don't know about that.
I never really thought about. I always considered Usher like a crossover pop artist type of person, but I never thought about what songs white people would like by Usher.
Well, you know,
never even considered it.
I mean, you know, there's the Oh My God, there's the EDMs.
And see, I thought that's what the white people like. Oh my God, I thought Will I Am.
I think that one's cool, but I don't think that's their jam.
That's what they were into.
I think Yeah is their jam.
Okay, I stand corrected.
We'll see though. We'll see on Sunday. Forensic Accountant says, "What are your thoughts about the late Kevin Dean O'Connor from H-Town? He had a great voice. I mean, H-Town. You know what's funny? Shout out to H-Town. There obviously were 2 twins in the group and another member. What is it? Dino, G.I., Shabazz. I think that those were the names. The member that is still alive, the twin that is still alive, reached out to Jay Valentine and his brother. We know Jay Valentine is Tank's business partner, the R&B Money podcast, because the group that Jay and his brothers were in were 2 twins. And obviously Jay was the other member, and said that part of the reason why they started H-Town was based on this group called the Neutrons. That part. So just a random fact, since you brought up H-Town, shout out to H-Town. Knocking the Boots was everything. I love when we have music conversations and we debate, and not debate, we discuss, we dissect, and all of that. I appreciate it. So we've covered a great deal tonight, right? I want to ask you, Trent, what would you like to see, and I'm going back to the opening topic, happen for Monique next? BMF is coming back next month. I don't know if she's on the new season.
You know, I would just really, honestly, not only for her, but anybody who has been through anything traumatic, is that they find a sense of peace and they find a sense of closure and they reconcile wholeheartedly what happened to them.
Do you think that after this conversation, she will put it to bed?
No, because, and this is me speaking from a person who has gone through something traumatic. Fortunately for me, I was able to talk about what I went through. So the more you hold it in, the more you have this propensity and this need to talk about it so you can get over it. And as long as she held it in and was silenced, there's so many side effects and ramifications from being silent and holding it in.
So let me ask you, and because
there's still things that we don't know.
I believe that.
Yes.
Are you referring to also the trauma from her childhood or the trauma that she's experienced in Hollywood?
It's all connected.
Okay.
It's all connected. If you don't deal with one, you don't deal with the other. And if if one is left undealt with, then it leaves room for something else to come in and fester.
Right, because it's building off of that,
Yes.
and your triggers are things that may not, really be triggering per
Right.
se. Listen, I'm sure we're gonna get more reactions, more commentary, more.
Just when you think it's over, it's gonna keep going.
I don't know. It can't be over. It's just getting started, right?
Because everybody has something to say.
And I mean, and the thing is this: I cannot get mad, or I would never say. Well, that's not true. It's not that I would never say it, but not in this way. Mean it. I might say like. And I'm not talking about Monique here. I'm just saying in general, like, she should stop talking. But I don't think that people should be silenced. But I do think that they should understand in those moments where they have power or leverage and be very clear. Like, is this just freeing for you to release this information? Are you looking to get something out of this? Are you looking for an apology, a financial thing, a job? Or are you looking to protect others? What is the end goal? Again, not just speaking with Monique, but overall, because, there's a lot of putting people on blast, and we know that stuff is coming from a place of hurt. But after you do that, then what's the next step? Because the world's going to keep moving, and you got to move on and push on too.
It's true.
So those are just my quick little thoughts, Trent Jackson, Trent the artist. Listen, they said that, we're in the age of Aquarius, right? I think we have been for a while, but year of the dragon, correct? Like Cisco.
I was going to say it.
No, I like Cisco. Don't say anything not nice about Drew Hill. I'm just playing.
I was going to say, don't make me unleash the dragon. That's all. Exactly.
Unleash the dragon. But I do think we're going to continue to hear more exposés, and Club Shay Shay will be the destination to do so. Do you think that he is going to start getting some pushback? Like, I mean, we've heard some commentary from Kat Thing. Why are you, but it was mostly fell on Kat. There has been some commentary about Shannon, but initially it was mostly on Kat. So now that we have another explosive interview that we expected, and in some parts he did instigate, in some parts, he did ask probing questions. Do you think that people are going to start to turn on Shannon?
They always do. They build you up to let you down. That's the name of the game.
Man. So, and what do you think, not that there's a zig or zag, because it's going to happen, but what do you think his next steps will be?
I mean, you never know. It's like we talked about this briefly off online, just a second, about Wendy Williams.
Yeah.
When you are famous and you strive to be famous, you know that there's a strategy involved to being famous, and it always involves some type of climax and paramount and collapse. And it does it throughout the years. If you're smart, you strategize that and you plan for it. So we never know. We saw Shannon pivot this time, so there's always if you know how to pivot once, you can pivot twice.
Facts. Real quick, I want to hear your thoughts on Wendy. You got a minute?
I wish her well. I wish her the absolute best, and I wholeheartedly know for sure that we will see a resurgence of her. And I also think a lot of it is staged.
You think it's staged? So we know she has illness, but do you think that she is kind of pushing out or leaning on those things for positioning?
Yes.
You have heard that quite a bit.
You take factual things and you spin them and you maximize them to the best of your ability.
Okay.
Is she an alcoholic? Sure. Are you so drunk that you just laying in the bed with a bottle of vodka? No, you're not. I don't believe that for a second.
Okay. Well, we're going to see, because we certainly will talk about...
There's some truth in there, but there's also lots of, let me just build up on this moment and dramatize it and maximize it just to stay famous, because it's the formula. The opening line of that clip of the trailer, she says something very poignant. Don't ever forget it. Ever since I was 6 years old, I wanted to be famous. So somebody who's been planning to be famous all that time, trust and believe they know that there's a formula to it.
Well, let me say something to that, on that, Amar. On that. Monique, Shannon Sharp asked her, did she, covet an Oscar growing up? Did she always know what she wanted to do, comedian, actress? And she said no. She just wanted to be famous. She just wanted the lifestyle. Thanks for clocking in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you to Trent Jackson, Trent the Artist, for joining us. Make sure you hit him up at Trent the Artist everywhere. Check out his podcast, download, subscribe. Hit me up at Stiletto Jill. We appreciate you locking in every night, 9 p.m. to midnight here for RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. We got some more interviews coming up for you tomorrow. Vivica A. Fox and the cast of Bosco, and a couple more. So make sure you are locked in for that. On the other side, the best of KBLA. I hope you have an amazing night, y'all.